hard for me to believe you wouldn't have. Actually, have you seen the last couple of years, photosynthesis is a quantum effect. They just have, that's why it's 98%. There's been like 4 or 5 studies, and that's why it's 98% efficient solar collection. And it's actually, I mean, you wouldn't use the word visualizing, but the plant somehow kind of lets the energy go all the way to the energy center and just takes the one that works.
Right.
And we just see that with numbers and the patterns. It seems like there's a way to probe this dream, this VR, through this, because it does reveal itself.
Exactly, it does. That's how the things like the reverse causality and other things reveals itself. You know how the reality works. Sure it does. Yeah, the closer you dig down to the truth, the more often you're going to find probable and statistic reality. That's just the nature of it.
That's fascinating, though, if you weren't thinking of it from that way, because I think the conclusions of thinking quantum mechanics is that work and consciousness come to the same conclusions that we've been saying tonight. Why visualization works, there's the key problems, even relativity. I mean, light has to be a constant so that none of us is the only one in the universe, so that we can have this interaction, right? I mean, if there's more than one consciousness, you can't find out which consciousness is in the center of the universe. We're all in the center.
Yeah, that's another way of looking at relativity. It's relative to the observer. Okay. I see there's still a few hangers on that haven't given up yet, but I'll stay here as long as you're interested.
It's my understanding the Mayans, I hate to kind of use something that's being thrown around a lot because of 2012, but they were, that I'm aware of, one of the only cultures that did use the ones and zeros in their within their culture, whether through astronomy and or their calendrical systems. And I just wondered if you had come across or had any thoughts on that as far as the interesting aspect that they kind of just disappeared. You know, that maybe they had a they were very in tune with consciousness, and maybe kind of used it more than maybe some other cultures?
Oh, I suspect so. You know, well, not necessarily them in particular, but there have been reports and stories, and most of those, of course, are second, third hand, but there's been lots and lots of reports of societies and cultures through back 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. And all of Hinduism, came out of stuff that's 3,000 to 4,000 years old. So the spiritual traditions and being aware of this kind of knowledge goes way back to the beginning. And no doubt there were people many thousands of years ago who understood how reality worked. Now, they didn't probably understand it in terms of my model, because digital simulation wasn't part of of their concept set, but they understood it in their own way, and no doubt were very good at utilizing it and working with it. So I think that's come and gone throughout. But comes, grows, disappears.
What about their thoughts on 2012? I mean, it's coming up. There's all kinds of ideas about it. What are your thoughts on?
Does it seem like the modification is speeding up somewhat, or modifying?
Are we getting a nudge? Are we really getting into newer frequencies, or is the virtual?
Everything's speeding up in the sense that we are processing information a lot faster than we ever have before. Experience is happening quicker. It's that kind of stuff. We probably experience more now, in a year than people 200 years did in their lifetime. Everything, travel, everything's being, we go all over the place, we do things, and the information processing. We are information, conscious information. The processing rate is getting faster and faster because of how we're developing here. So yes, things are moving more quickly. Thank you, sir. You are very nice gentleman. So yes, things do pick up. They don't necessarily all keep going at the same time. The experiment starts to heat up when the information starts moving faster. True. About 2012 has unfortunately become a thing that's as much about fear, if not more about fear than anything else. There's one interesting thing about this, about fear, is that just like anything else, if you focus your intent, you tend to make it happen. Fear is an interesting thing, and the things that you fear tend to come true because you focus your intent on them. That's what the fear does. It focuses you on them. So if you take somebody and what they really fear is that people won't like them. Okay? They feel maybe a little inferior or something. People won't like them. Well, what kind of a person do you get who's afraid that people won't like them? You get somebody generally who's real obnoxious around people and tries to cover that up by being a bully or by pushing people around or something else. And what happens? They make people not like them. So it's just a natural way the feedback works. You make your fears come true. So now here we have, a couple of 100 million people up to their eyebrows in fear because of 2012 and all the horrible things that are going to happen. Well, that's not good. You see, so my first thing about 2012 is forget about it. Relax. Go through your life. Do whatever you do. Deal with whatever you have to deal with when you have to deal with it. But don't sit around, being afraid of it. That is counterproductive. That more than anything else will create something terrible that you're going to have to deal with. Don't get into that fear trip. So 2012, best thing you can say about that's probably nothing at all. Except have a happy 2012.
Raise your love vibration.
Right, raise your own vibration.
Yeah.
Do your part.
Yeah.
Don't join, in the fear mongers who are trying to scare everybody about 2012.
Yeah, just remember 2000, nothing happened.
Yeah,
2012 is going to be the same. It's just another number.
yeah,
It has no meaning.
yeah.
Well, what about the future in general? Like, are we heading towards lower entropy or higher entropy?
Yeah, I think, the whole point of our being here is to reduce entropy, and I think in general we're succeeding, but little tiny steps at a time. I mean, people grow up. People get bigger pictures all the time, and sure, I think we are succeeding. Now, that doesn't mean we're this monotonic thing that always just gets better and better every day. We have our down moments. It comes and it goes, but on the average, I think, yes, we are getting slowly better. So I'm positive about the future, but I don't expect anything quick. The other thing about 2012 is that besides the fear thing, it's counterproductive, is that people have an idea that at 2012 something one day is going to happen and suddenly we all get a plus up. It's like passing go and collecting $200. Oh, this is the age of something, and all of us here are going to suddenly gain wisdom and insight and truth and love and all that kind of stuff just because we happen to be here at this time. It doesn't work like that. No free lunch. You earn it, you change at the being level, or you don't get it. So you're not going to get a free $200 just because you pass go, because you happen to live at 2012. You got to earn what you get. Yes, sir.
There's a story I read by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I read it quite a long time ago, called The Lathe of Heaven. I don't know if you've heard of this story, but briefly, it's slightly future, and a man has been sent to a government psychologist because he's not taking his sleep medication. And why isn't he taking it? Because when he dreams, his dreams change reality. And he's the only one who's aware of it. So, for instance, he dreams that there are pink poodles, really and truly, the color pink, not dyed or anything, but French poodles come in black, white, all the other colors, and pink. And when he wakes up, there are pink poodles in the world. And he's the only one who knows that there weren't pink poodles before, right? So it's this interesting feedback loop of a story. And he goes to a psychologist and explains, expecting fully to be scoffed at. But the psychiatrist sees this at work. And he gives him suggestions for his dreaming. And the psychiatrist sees these things change. So to me, it's a little bit about what you're talking about. And yet all the things, the psychiatrist is actually a good person and he's trying to create a better world. So he says a big problem in the world is that we're different colors. And that makes people mad at each other and racism and so forth. So dream that everybody's the same color and everybody's gray. So when he wakes up, boom, that's the way the world has always been. I just bring it to you because it seems to be on this idea, and there still seem to be limitations within the universe as we know it, because these negative effects keep coming up.
That's true. So how did that work out with all the gray people?
There, when the psychiatrist was manipulating the situation with good intentions, and the main character he's always tested 50-50 on like every aptitude, or he's always right, which is why he kind of has this ability. Yeah, and it's a morality play about this guy trying to help the world this way, and really just sort of, taking away the flavor and sort of attacking all of the flavor of
Does he
the.
mess it up instead, or does he fix it?
It gets pretty bad.
I don't remember getting fixed. Is there a fixing ending? I remember getting pretty bad. Yeah.
I would think so. That doesn't show a whole lot of understanding, because it's not that people are different colors is the problem. The problem is that people have fear and anger and ego, and that's the problem. And just making everybody great and doesn't fix the
Oh,
problem.
and the psychologist's
Yeah.
power trick becomes the problem left. He solves every other problem. How do you solve that one? By
Right.
expressing it, kind of like you were saying, by trying to gratify your ego. How do
Right.
you do good?
Tied into that, have you ever heard of the law of harmony, Pythagoras' law of harmony?
No.
No, it's fascinating. It's exactly what you're talking about. Because, basically it's like a triangle. Imagine a triangle of 3 dots, right? And the first dot in the bottom left corner is the self, right? The second dot in the middle, top middle, that's the divine, right? Divine being that which serves all, that which all seek. Right, the divine. It's the Greek definition of the divine. And then the bottom right dot, that's service, right? And so the theorist, Pythagoras, as eccentric as he was, his theory was that if you start from the self, and if you go to the divine initially, before the service, then it creates some type of energetic equation where all of your dreams basically manifest. Everything comes true. And so it creates this like harmonious flow. Pythagoras' law of harmony, but it sounds real similar to a lot of what you're talking about.
There's a whole lot of things that are similar. There's a whole lot of books that have come out in just the last 5 years that kind of work in the same vein. It's very gratifying to see, how much we seem to be moving in that direction. That's neat.
Yeah, about time.
Well, I guess we'll just thank Tom, and then we can mingle a little bit more. So, thank you, Tom, very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.